So this screencast is going to talk about um, migrating your WordPress website. Um, the first part of it is going to be migrating a website from a live server, in this case, summerinstitute.jeep.org. We're going to migrate this to my MAMP server. That's my local WordPress development environment. And then after we do that, we're going to do a different form of migration back up to a different server. And so fun will be had by all. Now, there's plenty of reasons why you might want to migrate your website. You might not like the domain that it's on. Like, we want that instead of summerinstitute.jeep.org, maybe we want it to be yei.jeep.org. Or since we're not Jeep anymore, we would probably want it to be over at yei.everettprogram.org. But suffice it to say, there's a lot of different reasons. Maybe you are working on a website on your computer, on your own server or on your own local server, and then you want to make it go live because you were developing it for a client or something. Well, you need to migrate it to the new place. And so this video is going to take us through the different ways of doing that. So let's go into the back end. Now, migrating your site is extremely easy if you have the right plugin. For instance, Duplicator is an absolutely fantastic plugin that we recently found. It takes care of all the technical aspects of migrating your website, and it's really, really good tool. But unfortunately, it doesn't always work. Not because the plugin is made wrong, but because possibly your hosting provider doesn't allow you to do certain things. Like it needs to be able to zip up the archive of your files and database, but for whatever reason, DreamHost isn't letting us do that. And so when I was making this lesson, I was just gonna do some stuff with Duplicator, and then I realized like, oh, I need to migrate my site the old-fashioned way. And that made me realize that I need to teach you guys how to migrate your sites the old-fashioned ways because this same thing might happen to you in the wild. So you can thank DreamHost for putting you in this predicament where you're doing even more work. Anyway, so to get the files and database off of here, I just used backup WordPress. I'm not going to download and upload and stuff right now because that would take too long. But anyway, I just did a complete file transfer. And so that eventually got me these two files. This is my database for the site. You can see it's very, very long. It's got every bit of content. It's all the data of my site stored in this .sql file. And the second thing are my files. I've just put it in a folder called YEI. I'm going to call it testing YEI or YEI migrate if I want to be descriptive. So the first thing I want to do is go to my root folder for my local server. I'm using MAMP because I'm on a Mac. Again, we'll try and get up a Windows version of this very soon. If we don't in time, then just please contact us. So I go to my htdocs, or I'll do it the old-fashioned way for the heck of it. So I go to my applications, into MAMP, into the htdocs folder. This is the root of your little virtual server domain. So you can think of this basically just like we talked about in previous videos. It's basically just the same as your there it is. So it's just like the root of your domain when you visit it on CyberDuck. CyberDuck's being really slow right now. Sorry for that. But anyway, this is the root of good old Jeep.org. Anyway, the whole point of that pointless thing was just to show you that htdocs is indeed just like your document root. So I'm going to put that right in there. Because as you know, the first thing that we need to make a WordPress website work is the files. That is WordPress core. So things like WP admin folder, WP blog header, blah, 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 blah. All this stuff is what makes WordPress work. And then, of course, you have WP content, which includes your themes, It includes images, all that good stuff. So everything that makes your site look the way it does is stored in your files, but that's not enough. We need to have an actual database. So what you need to do is, since we're on MAMP, I'm going to go to incognito. You go to localhost.8888. I have this saved, so it will take me there. What you can also do is just click the MAMP icon and then hit Open Start Page. It'll take you to the same place. So I'm going to go to phpMyAdmin, Databases, and we're just going to create a database, call it YEI Migrate. Create. There we go. Database is ready to get data in it. And where's our data? We have it right here. See, this is what the actual file looks like. It's totally unintelligible, huh? But that's why we have something like phpMyAdmin, because it's especially coded to interpret that kind of thing. And so we need to get it in there, so you just click Import. Choose the file. And we're on the desktop. Okay. There we go. Don't need to bother with any of this stuff. Hit Go. And there we go. All successful. You can hit Structure and see what's on there. Isn't that neat? So, the next step, or let's kind of review what we've got here. So we have established that we've got this folder, this directory that has all of our files in it. That's only half of WordPress. Now we have the database here. That's the other half of WordPress. We have all our content right here, and we have all of our rules and templates and styles that'll make it display the way we want to. But YEI-migrate has no idea that YEI_migrate, the database, exists. These two things don't know that the other one is there. So we need to tell them that. So you go into YEI-migrate, find the file called wp-config. This should be kind of familiar to you if you've ever done a manual install, and you should definitely watch the Installing WordPress Manually screencast. But so this is where we set this is how we let the files know that the data exists and vice versa. So these are all X's right now. I couldn't have you actually seeing my real passwords. So the database name, what is that? It's YEI_migrate. The database user and the database password, now we didn't actually set those, and we don't have to. And that's because the way that MAMP and WAMP work is that they assume that these are going to be completely local ordeals, that they're not for live, they're not for publication. So no one except for you in the comfort of your own home or whatever is going to be seeing this. So there's no real security issues. So it just automatically gives the user and password for every database that you create. User will be root, the password will be root. So you just put those in right there. And while you're at it, just to get in the habit, go ahead and reset all the authorization keys. I don't know if this is necessary or not, but it seems like it could be, so why not? There we go. So that should do it. Let's ask ourselves, are we done now? So we've got our files, we've got our data, we've let the files know that the data exists. let's see if this works. So I type in localhost colon triple eight or quadruple eight. What's the name of this directory? It's YEI migrate. Now, odds are this isn't going to work, and I'll tell you why. Well, we weren't complete enough. Let's take a look at the database itself. So this was basically copy and pasted directly from the website. And if you recall, the website's name was www.summerinstitute.jeep.org. And so the fact that that's the address of the site might come up somewhere in the database. Like, let's see over here in WP options. Indeed, it says that its site URL is this. So when I tell MAMP to go to YEI test, then it executes some queries and it gets incredibly it just gets really confused, so it's not ever going to show it correctly. So what we need to do is, in fact, I'll show you some other places that it is so that you believe me, because I know you guys don't believe me in a lot of things. But let's see, over here in posts, as you can see, like the permalinks for all these things, it all has the old URL as the base. So if you ever tried to go to any posts or any pages, if you wanted to look at basically anything on the website, they all have this old URL. So we need to go through and change every URL. That's not feasible. We can't do that. So let's see what WordPress has to say about it. Let's just Google migrating WordPress and see what happens. Moving WordPress, there we go. So I'll skip down to the pertinent part. See how it's got a couple of different cases, like when your domain name or URLs don't change. When your domain name or URLs change, ours definitely do. So right here it's saying that if you read the text, it's talking about this problem that I just laid out. And it's saying that, oh, you can do a search and replace of just the WP post table, but the URL is also another couple of things. Or it says, use the search and replace for WordPress database script for safely changing all instances. If you're a developer, use this option. It is a one-step process as opposed to the 15-step procedure below. Now, when I'm making these videos, I've already done this like 10 times already. So I tried both of these different methods, and this 15-step process is way more complicated and it leaves way more margin for error. So I don't even know why they would discourage people to not use this. I guess maybe because you can destroy your site, but we're awesome. We're totally hardcore, so we're going to use the developer option. So go ahead and follow the link. I have a really slow. This is a small web app that somebody whipped up. It's very trustworthy. It's here as part of the official documentation. They're telling you to use it. People over at Code Poet, that's a little side project of the company that builds WordPress. They endorse this. They're saying use it. It's totally legit. So go ahead and download version 3.0 because it's way better than the old version. Trust me. So what you get this zip file, you should read the directions or just listen to what I'm telling you or the directions on our website. Go ahead and rename this to be something like your name. and then move it over into the site directory. And so this thing is a script. It's a very complicated PHP script that runs a bunch of queries, and it basically does a find replace for your old. It finds your old URL and then replaces it with the new URL. So let's do this. YI test. And what did I name it? Named it Thomas. So we're trying to navigate to this. So we go to YI migrate. We go to Thomas, and it'll just open. Not YI test. My bad. YI migrate. There we go. So it runs up this web app. So we need to find the original URL in its entirety because find and replaces are very exact procedures. So we go there. I'm going to go to the WP options and look for the site URL. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that. So we're searching for this http://www.summerinstitute.jeep.org. We want to replace it with our new URL. Well, instead of typing it out, I always like copy pasting, so just copy that, and there we go. So the new thing that it's going to do is http://localhost:/8 migrate. It already knows these. Don't fill out that. Do a dry run. This is a really neat feature because it basically does exactly what it sounds like. It runs the script, but it doesn't change anything. So it's saying that if we were to run this script, it would replace this string with this string 5 times over in the WP options and 228 times over in posts. So that means that it did its job right. So I'll go ahead and do a live run. And there we go. So the last thing that you got to do is delete it. I don't think this button actually works, so I'm just going to do it straight from the files. And the reason you have to do that is because when you put it back on the server, or if you did this on a live server, then someone could navigate directly to that. They could navigate to the script. You notice that we didn't have to enter any kind of credentials, any password or username or anything like that. They could just go straight to it, and they could basically destroy your whole database. And that's not what we want to happen. So get rid of it. It needs to go. Anyway, so if this thing did its job right, then what happens when we go to our site? Yes, leave this page. And we have great success. So this is exactly identical to summerinstitute.jeep.org, and I'll even, the images are all here. They're all put in the right way. There we go. Totally identical. I know this seemed like it took a while, but it really didn't. But there's another important step that you need to remember that you needed to do, and I really can't explain why it is, but here's what happens. Let's say that you try and click error. Well, anyway, when you try this at home, you might get an error. It might say like internal server error. All you have to do is just click back and then go to the WordPress dashboard. You go to settings, permalinks, and then basically just save it again. I don't know why this fixes the problem, but it does. Now we can go back. and everything works fine. All right, cool. So, what did we do in this video? We migrated our WordPress website from a live server onto our local server, and it's a complete exact carbon copy. So to see how we're going to get it back up onto a live server, meet us in part 2, and I promise it's going to be a lot easier.